So this is going to be a state of Armored Warfare at the moment type of video. And I guess I just want to first off throw my opinion out there, let you know how I feel about the game, guys. You know, Anybody that's a long-standing user who maybe has stuff in this game that they can actually play with. Let's say you have a tier 10 or whatever and you're thinking about coming back to the game, and maybe you can come back to us and see how the game is doing. And I'm just gonna sit here and talk about it for a moment. And let me just start off by saying that a lot of the content creators that you have out there at the moment are doing a great job. I'm sure many people really appreciate what you guys are trying to do. And at the same time, let's just say that it's lacking a little bit. It's like you guys don't really know what you're talking about when it comes to most of this kind of stuff. It's so maybe I don't really know what I'm talking about either, but at the same time, I'm still gonna talk about it. You have basically games going on in the background. You have people playing. You have people not really playing. You have a lot of people fucking talking about where they live at the moment. There's a lot going on in the world right now, but there's also a good amount of people that are still at home, still playing games and doing whatever. World of Tanks is a great game. AW is not really there at the moment, but at the same time, the biggest issue that this game has right now is just population. You can play the game and get a match, from time to time, but right now it's telling me 3 minutes. But the chances of me actually finding a PvP game, if we want to sit in queue here for a moment, we can see if it's possible, are not really there right now for most times of the day. As far as game balance goes, and tanks go and tier 10s, you have a lot of stuff that's currently been added to the game, a lot of stuff that you can play with. It's not like you can't get low tier games at the moment. You have plenty of trees that you can go through. You have tanks that you can look for, try to earn. Right now it's the K2 for me. I really appreciate and love and adore this tank, and this is pretty much the main reason why I came back to the game. At the end of the day, it's content that you need. It's not necessarily advertising or balance. As long as you have content in the game to shoot for, it doesn't really matter whether or not the game is good. There's still going to be diehard fans and diehard people out there that are going to want to play the game regardless. And they've been basically addressing that for quite some time now. You have quite a lot of new vehicles that have been added since probably most of you guys have been playing, for whoever ends up actually watching this video. We started off with the XM183, the Leopard 2AX, the Sphinx got added at some point, the Merkava is a new tier 10, what else do you have? The T14 has been around for a while. The T15 was added after some point. The PLO1 has been in the game for a long time. The ATDU has been around for a long time. The Type 99A2 is in the game now. You have the Wilk. You have the K2 now. You have the Leclerc T4. You have, quite a few in this tree that I actually have not really played much or, actually even own. I used to own every single tank in the game before Balance 2.0. And now I have probably a handful compared to what is actually in these trees, as you can probably tell. So basically there's a lot going on in the game that there's plenty to do. Apparently, let's see, a lot of these apparently I think have new stuff to them. Don't really know, but at the same time, who knows? I don't know. There's a lot of new stuff in the game basically for a lot of the tanks. Especially at tier 10, you have stuff like where the fuck would I go? Listen, I'm probably gonna redo this video, and that's fine. I don't really care. Stuff like the trophy APS, which has been added to the XM183, which it currently did not have. Granted, it costs you 1.6 million XP, and that's probably gonna take me a really long time to earn. I played a handful of games since they probably added this, and I'm only at 100,000 XP. I have boosters. I have one left on from earlier. There's plenty going on in this game at the moment, and I'm probably just going to say whatever, let the game roll and just keep playing anyways. And yeah, at the same time, It's not about the game at this point for me. I have no issues with this game. I've always appreciated and liked this game. There have been quite a few patches throughout the years that have been, not beneficial in terms of the actual gameplay itself. You've had quite a few patches which have been aimed at PvE. You have had quite a few patches which have been kind of aimed at PvP. And everyone at the end of the day is gonna have a mode that they prefer. It's not necessarily about which one you like or which one you don't like. You have to understand that people are going to be playing PvP and people are going to be playing PvE. So at the end of the day, it's important to understand that it does not matter, which one you are playing personally. You have to understand that the game as a whole is only here because both modes are basically keeping the game afloat. PvE people cannot necessarily deny that PvP is relevant. For a lot of people, PvE is just simply not the bread and butter of this game, even though a lot of people have enjoyed it. At the end of the day, there's still going to be crowds of people who maybe, I don't want to say pour more money into the game, but have the potential to pour money. And as a business, as an opportunity, you don't necessarily want to deny anybody the opportunity to spend money on your game. And when you're only catering to one group over the other, it just leads a lot to question in terms of business opportunities. If you're trying to support your own game, you want to be supporting both modes basically. And at the end of the day, they've done a pretty good job thus far, or at least up to this point, in doing so. Maybe with the exception of giving everybody the 640, out of all the tanks for free, but at the same time, it's the only tier 10 with a credit multiplier that basically, earns double everything else, at the end of the day. I have not spent a lot of time playing tier 9 premium vehicles. There's only one that I have, but at the same time, I have battle hardened quite a few regular tech tree vehicles, and for people that are unable to afford, a lot of these tier 8 premiums or whatever, at the same time, if you battle harden a tier 10, for example, you're still not going to be making nearly as much credits as what this vehicle is. So while I can understand giving it away for free for the week for the stay-at-home strategy, it's just a consideration that certain tanks like this one, for example, hit the wrong button, are not exactly ones that you want to be floating around your game. I've had quite a few of them in these games lately, and it's a great tank, clearly. And at the same time, it's not one that, maybe you want floating around while people are trying to actually play and maybe and/or slash enjoy slash grind the game. Not everybody that you see is going to be playing this. It's not like everybody needs credits at the end of the day. Sometimes you just want to get to the tier 10 that maybe you've been working really hard for. And when you have to play anything else, essentially, say at tier 9, and you run into a team of 6 or 7 object 640s because, they got given away for free, basically, it just kind of leads to frustration. And at the end of the day, you cannot let the frustration get to you. But at the same time, it's decisions like that which are, moderately easily avoidable simply by not giving it away and maybe giving people anything else really. You could have given them just, a Leopard 2 Revo or something like that, or anything else really. And you would have been fine in terms of, playability. Like, it's not that the game needs people at tier 10. Maybe it's cool to give people this opportunity. But at the same time, it's like there's other tier 10 vehicles that you can try and give people and or play that might be more beneficial for the game at the end of the day. Like, I have no idea. You could have given everybody a CATTB or an Alte for like a day or something. Maybe give people a 640 for like a day or 2 days, maybe 2 days rental, 3 days, who knows? It doesn't have to be 7 days. You can do it. Maybe you can give them like one of these for a day, give them like 140 for a day, maybe a 152 Armada for a day, a CATTB for a day. You could give them like, a tier 10 for 3 or 4 days. You don't have to necessarily give them a 640 for 7, like, it's fine. It's just a week at the end of the day. It's not like it's going to be forever. But, at the end of the day, what I'm just trying to say is that you have to look at whether or not people are enjoying the game, whether or not people are having fun with the game. And when you give people a tank like this, which maybe is not that easily earned, it's more like you're giving them just a big tease, and when they have to go back to the regular tier 10s at the end of the day, and you're basically stuck with, whatever else you have available. I have quite a bit, but at the same time, not everybody's gonna have options like that. So if someone has to basically go back to say the ATDU, and people are basically rolling up on them in 99A2s, which just got buffed, or XM1A3s or Wilks or whatever, it's almost like you're giving them a gift that they can't have anymore, and it's just not necessarily the best decision in terms of the game or whatever. Like, there's a lot going on, besides just PvP and PvE and glops and all that, and just being able to play the game. Like, you are able to play. Usually it's early morning slash midday for like Eastern time zone slash US slash East Coast, West Coast, whatever you want to call it. I mean, a lot of it's EU time zone. At the end of the day, if you're in America and you don't mind playing with a high ping, you can play no matter what. But when you are on the East Coast or whatever, you can play with 90 ping. It's usually pretty fine. That's who I am slash where I've been playing, and it's been okay and fine. But not everybody gets those options. But it is what it is. It's just the game right now is in a decent place. We can go to the testing ground and just kind of give you an example of what it's like to actually play. And I am really enjoying the new UI. They have redone a lot of this game. They've made a lot of balance changes. They've made a lot of balanced decisions, balanced choices. A lot of tanks which previously did not have ready racks before, like the one that we are about to see, for example, now has a ready rack. And it makes it for more diverse gameplay, but at the same time, people that have to fight against it are exactly, it just makes it harder. You can pen this vehicle from the lower front plate, and maybe on the sides and the rear. If you looked at the armor schematic, you can't really pen the upper part, but you can pen like the lower part. It's just inconsistent, but at the same time not impossible. So at the end of the day, this game is all about consistency and just making sure that you're doing something that you like and not doing something that you don't. So if you enjoy playing this game like I have been trying to, or have made my, have made a point to, or have just happened to, it's not like I'm trying to force myself to like this game. It's a game at the end of the day, and it's just something to be doing, something to be done. And when you have to stay at home for some reason, or you can't go to work, or you can't go outside as much as you used to, this is definitely one of the things that is a little bit more beneficial to people, or at least to me personally. If you like modern MBTs, if you like modern vehicles, if you like the modern warfare scene, if you are unhappy with World of Tanks, if you don't like the fact that, in World of Tanks, I can aim at this guy from across the map, but your reticle will never get to this accurate. So at the end of the day, this is still a much better game, and, they basically have until World of Tanks, recognizes this before, it's too late, if you will. And, if World of Tanks, for some reason, God forbid, ever actually fixed their accuracy issue and many of the problems that they have, then maybe Armored Warfare would have some sort of an issue. But at the end of the day, you have a niche community, basically, and a niche, what do you call it, market, if you will, of modern MBTs, modern vehicles, and modern gameplay that to me is just a little bit more arcadey and maybe less, what do you call it, more forgiving than a lot of other games like War Thunder, for example. As much as War Thunder is an awesome game, it's not necessarily something that I am trying to play. I have a lot invested in this game at the moment, so a lot of it comes down to where you've invested yourself. But at the same time, it's not like this is a bad game that I would say is worth investing in. There's a lot going on, a lot to go on, a lot still going on. But, I'm basically just trying to say that at the end of the day, a lot of the changes that I have seen as of late have been for the better. And as far as, pure gameplay goes and pure enjoyment goes, I have, really enjoyed the last couple days that I've been playing this game. And I'm just starting to ramble at this point, but you see a lot of people talk about this game like they know what they're talking about. And while I appreciate, people trying to give advice and or, rate things, compare things, it's personal preference. You're going to like whatever game you like, and it's not going to really matter at the end of the day if you understand what it is that you're liking or if you don't understand. This is not a hard game to master, but it is a very easy game to learn. And you know, if that is something that you are looking for, if you like modern MBTs, if you like the Abrams, if you like the T14, if you're like me and you wish you could just play with the K2 Panther already and you know, just enjoy the South Korean beauty that it truly is, then maybe one day, you know, we'll all get to be there eventually. But irregardless, if you are looking for more videos similar to this one maybe, or if my rambling interests you at all, you know, if anything that I said during this, you know, however long it has been, 15 minutes apparently, has, you know, set your fancy on fire or interested you in me at all, you know, if you like the Leclerc, if you enjoy the Leopard, if the Merkava is your style, and you know, playing things like the Sphinx and the T15, which are less known slash, you know, different to play. If that's sort of what you're into and you know what you enjoy and stuff like that, then you know, by all means, go for it. I'm just gonna, you know, end this here and maybe title this video something like, you know, is Armored Warfare still worth it? Question mark. And my answer would be yes. But at the same time, it's up to you. It all depends on where you are, how far you are, where you are in the game, how, you know, far you're willing to go. The grind is not really something that I have, you know, much experience in, since I haven't really had to grind from 0 to 10 for quite some time. I can tell you that grinding from 9 to the K2 so far has definitely been somewhat of a lengthy process. I just got this one today, earlier today. I got this one yesterday. I'm just, you know, slowly trying to work on upgrading them. Credits is a pretty big issue. Right now I have about 5,000 credits or whatever, as you can tell. I have no gold. 5,000 credits, you know, just a little bit of free XP. Unlock this. Unlock tires, yes. Um, Basically, this is what, you know, the grind looks like when it comes to getting the tanks that you like. You know, so if the K2 Black Panther is something that you're interested in, we now have it in the game. I am looking forward to playing this very much. You have, you know, the choice between two different guns, basically. You have ready racks in this game. You have, you know, camouflage in this game. You have commanders in this game. I don't know if any of you are familiar with Steam, but a while back I did do a commander, you know, guide, if you will, on a lot of them. But, you know, since then, a lot has changed. You know, some of them have changed. I kind of went back through all of them, redid the skills that I selected, tried to pick skills that were truly relevant for, you know, the current time or whatever. Let's say you only have 5 points. You know, I tried to pick skills that were beneficial in my eyes for what you're using, and not just, you know, trying to focus on some kind of random end goal. You can always, you know, reset for gold or whatever, and you know, it's only 40,000 credits for, you know, almost essentially no XP loss. So at the end of the day, you have to just keep in mind like what you have available, and just focus on making sure that you are working towards something that is considered beneficial to you yourself personally, and try not to think too much about, you know, what other people are basically trying to tell you to. I'm not trying to give you like, you know, an answer. I'm not trying to give you an opinion. I'm not trying to give you a reason or a why. You know, at the end of the day, those are for you to consider. Those are for you to find out. And I'm just trying to basically kind of talk about my experience with the game as of the last few days, my experience with the game as of, you know, the past few games that I played. You know, I've been playing since 2015. You know, I remember watching the PAX video. You know, I've been here for a long time, and you know, I played off and on for a long time. You know, I don't consider myself to be bad at the game, but at the same time, I try not to consider myself to be good either. Like, you might look at my stats and think that I'm, you know, knowing what I'm doing, but at the end of the day, like, you know, I just came back to the game and I'm just here playing it. You know, it has nothing to do with, you know, me being good or bad or whatever. I just want to give you guys sort of my experience. I just want to give you guys sort of what I think, what I have found, you know, what I have enjoyed. For example, you know, a large part of this video was me watching somebody basically claiming that the Type 99A2 was, you know, one of the worst vehicles in the game. Meanwhile, me as a person, having enjoyed and thoroughly played through it for quite some time now, I would argue that the Type 99A2 is arguably one of the better, maybe less well-known tanks in the game. And when you have people that are basically going around telling you that, you know, this tank is good or this tank is bad, like, I'm not here to tell you that this tank is good. I enjoy this tank. I think this tank is fun to play, you know what I mean? It has nothing to do with me thinking that it's good or thinking that it's bad. You can make any tank that you choose, any tank that you pick, any tank that you play, good or bad at the end of the day. It has nothing to do with the tank itself being good or the tank itself being bad. A lot of the issues with this game are people just not understanding when something is broken or not understanding when something is just, underperforming, if you will. Just because the stats say a specific thing does not mean that the stats are the end all be all as far as, what goes or what's done. You can make a bad tank good just by simply being a good player and knowing how to play around its weaknesses. Let's say a tank has a ton of weaknesses. It has nothing to do with the tank itself being bad. It just means that maybe the tank needs a little love, or maybe it needs a little help. Or maybe you just have to play it differently. I have the opportunity to play, pretty much whatever tier 10 I want. So when I have a Type 99A2, let's say I'm not enjoying playing it, or I had a, rough game in it, I can just have the freedom to choose a different tank. I mean, I'm not saying that everybody's going to have those freedoms, and that's life at the end of the day. You have to start off by making a choice. The first tier 10 that I picked was the ATDU, and you kind of get locked into that mindset that you have to play whichever one you picked first. But it's just a matter of continuing to play, continuing to work, continuing to spend time on the game. These are games that you don't exactly complete in a single day. You kind of have to work on them, you kind of have to learn with them, you kind of have to figure them. If watching people play with the tank or people that that have the tank, gives you a better idea of which one you want to pick beforehand, then that's kind of like what, those of us, with all of them are kind of, here to do, in my opinion. I can tell you about them by simply me playing them. But at the end of the day, when you have a game that's bad or you have a bad match in a tank that's good, and you basically start judging it by an emotional process, you basically are negating the entire review in the process. It's not that I enjoy this tank because it's good. I just enjoy this tank because I have had fun playing with it. I've had good experiences with it. I mean, I haven't exactly won every single game that I've played, but it's just personal preference and playstyle at the end of the day. I like tanks that are fast. I like tanks that are quick, swift. I like a tank with decent hull traverse. This map is not really like showcasing that, or maybe some of my skills in the testing ground aren't really like active or whatever. But at the same time, I can tell you that when I'm playing Glops in it, I thoroughly enjoy the time that I have spent, and I always try to do well no matter what. It doesn't really matter if it's this tank or the next. At the end of the day, I'm still trying to grind for the K2. I don't really care what I'm playing. It's just a matter of personal preference, personal opinion, personal stripe, personal gain. It's a very personal game at the end of the day. You're going to be playing with whatever tier 10 you pick for a long time, and that's going to be the tank that you end up with for a long time. So if you only have the time or the day to pick one, I would just make sure that either you like the tank, maybe it's visually appealing. At the end of the day, you kind of look at the tank that you see most of the time. So if you're going to be picking the Type 99A2, you want to make sure that you enjoy looking at the Type 99A2. You can see these vehicles in real life. You can see these vehicles on the internet. You can see these vehicles in your reviews. You can see these vehicles in guides. You can preview everything in this game. You can test drive everything in this game. I would definitely I would definitely say to test drive things before you unlock them or you buy them. And that's a blessing in disguise that you don't always have in a lot of games. I can't really tell you if you can test drive everything in World of Tanks, but just the fact that you can drive things at a stock value and just get a feel for maybe how it's going to play before you even unlock it definitely gives you an idea of what's worth picking up and what's worth ignoring. This game does a lot of things that I really like, and that's sort of what I'm trying to display slash say. And at the end of the day, it's still you or me at the end of the day. it's gonna be you playing the game. It's not gonna be me playing it for you. You know, I can stream for you and you can watch me play, but at the end of the day, if you're interested in the game at all, you know, you still have to be the one to be playing it. You still have to be the one to be doing it. You still have to be the one to be thinking about it, you know. I can give you ideas, experiences, and thoughts, but you still have to be the one that picks up the pen and, you know, writes down the paper how you think, how you feel, or how this, you know, experience has taught you, you know, anything if it will. And you know, that's pretty much Armored Warfare in a nutshell. It's a great game. I really enjoy playing it. You know, the tanks are awesome. The grind is awesome. You know, the tier 10s are definitely worth it. You know, you can make some decent money at tier 10. You can have some fun. You know, this is definitely an experience that you will not find in many other video games at the moment. You basically have a choice between Armored Warfare. You have a choice between World of Tanks, and you have a choice between, you know, War Thunder, I guess, at the moment. But as far as the three go, I would say that AW to me is the most enjoyable, you know, just if nothing else because it's consistent. You know, you can't exactly get one shot and murdered in a single shell, you know. I mean, you can get ammo racked and cooked and all that, but at the same time, you know, they make a good job at making sure that you are not just, you know, instantly hating and or slash regretting your life. Artillery, for example, is maybe soon to be introduced back into GLoPS. You know, I think they did a test run not that long ago. I wasn't really here for it, so I can't really speak for it. But I can say that playing with a friend and just getting shot at by artillery in an ATDU, even with burst fire, it's not like I died in a single shot, you know, and it's not like my life got ruined. You know, they have repair kits. It's just there's a lot of very forgiving slash arcadey elements to this game that really make it worthwhile to me to play. So if you are looking for something similar, if you're looking for a game like this that's interesting you, if you are feeling like WOT is not your thing, if WOT is just too much for you, or you know, if the accuracy has just been too much, I would definitely try and take a look at this game. I would definitely try and see if that's something that you're interested in. You know, even at level 1, you know, you still have vehicles that I consider fun, and you know, it's just something to think about, something to consider. And you know, shots fired here and there, but at the same time, you know, I'm not here to, you know, get your opinion on how you view myself or my, you know, ideas at the end of the day. You know, I'm still going to have them. I'm still going to think them. And I try to keep myself open to the idea that maybe somebody else has a better one. And if you are in the same boat as me and you enjoy the things I say, then, you know, more power to you and God bless your day. But if you have any issues with, you know, the things that I have said today or the things that people will eventually say, like, you know, that's not on me. I'm not going to care at the end of the day. I'm just here to play. You know, just to show you some sort of way, you know, things that I enjoy. Maybe another day. So even at like tier 1, I honestly don't feel much different than what I was feeling in the fucking Type 9982. But yeah, it's a good game. I think it's in a pretty good space at the moment. I think it's in a pretty good place. I see that they're trying to put up some guides on the YouTube channel. I think maybe it's only a matter of time before we start to see some actual advertisement come towards this game. So if you are trying to get ahead of the rush or trying to get back into the game, now is definitely a very good time to learn. So I will end probably with my statement there and try and call it a day. If you would like to at me, bro, my name is Fire on Fergal. You can catch me on everywhere. And I will talk to you guys later.